The Bold and the Beautiful's Brooke has been on the back burner for far too long. Now, the show is in the process of thrusting the character into either a romantic triangle or quadrangle. Either way, we're here for it. Soap Hub is bestowing Performer of the Week for B&B honors on Brooke's portrayer, Katherine Kelly Lang. Katherine Kelly Lang, Performer of the Week. For a while, Brooke acted as a sounding board to her daughter Hope Logan Spencer, Annika Noel, but now that both Hope's father Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, and Ridge Forrester's, Thorsten Kaye, ex-wife Taylor Hayes, Krista Allen, are back on the scene, Brooke has lots to not only ponder but be concerned about. Despite Deacon's nefarious past, Brooke appears more disturbed that Taylor is in Los Angeles once more, and she may have good reason. For starters, Ridge held off on telling Brooke that Taylor was back because he knew how she'd respond. Brooke immediately cast a shadow on Taylor's arrival by noting that she arrived at Steffi's, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, door without even calling. Ridge countered that as Taylor is Steffi's mother, and not an old pal from college, she's not required to give notice. Then, a game of verbal back and forth began where Brooke's back went up against a wall as she extracted information from Ridge. "No, that's okay. I'm sure it's sweet," Brooke deflected when Ridge offered to show Brooke a family photo that he'd been sent. Brooke noted that Taylor must have been thrilled to see Kelly and Hayes, deftly leaving out that she suspects that Taylor was most happy to see Ridge given their past. Ridge kept the conversation moving into what he might have thought was safe territory by talking about the impressive work Taylor does throughout the world as a psychiatrist/philanthropist. "So, when does she go back to this really impressive work?" Brooke casually inquired. Ridge couldn't help but slightly scoff at Brooke's inquiry, as he knows that Taylor has the ability to push Brooke's buttons. Kudos to Thorsten Kaye as Ridge kept hitting the ball back to Lang, making their scenes all the richer. Ridge and Brooke peppered wordless moments in their exchanges with facial expressions of stunned amazement, the kind that only long-term couples can share with one another when they're in the middle of a disagreement. "A longer visit? Brooke," Katherine Kelly Lang exclaimed when Ridge told her that Taylor might be staying for a bit. She couldn't help but make a dig that Taylor wasn't around when Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson, was going through his mental illness and Steffi was fighting her opioid addiction. Ridge and Brooke's talk about Taylor grew more intense as Brooke tried to draw a comparison between Taylor and Deacon. Ridge didn't even let her finish expressing the thought before he told her that it was an unfair analogy. The tension got thicker as Deacon showed up ready to give both Brooke and Hope another karate lesson. Ridge and Deacon in the same room is never a good thing. Brooke's inability to see Deacon the way Ridge does didn't help cool things off. Deacon coming clean, no pun intended, and sharing that he was cleaning for a living and that he wasn't living with Sheila anymore didn't seem to impress Ridge all that much. Ironically, Taylor and Steffi talked about how the Logan women know how to snare their men by letting out a perfectly timed giggle or the doing old tear down the cheek routine. After Ridge took off and headed to Steffi's Cliff House, Brooke, ironically, her eyes filling up with tears, solemnly looked out her window and then flashed back to a special reunion she and Ridge shared. Ridge has more often than not chosen Brooke in the sweepstakes of his life contest, but this time, Brooke, Katherine Kelly Lang, doesn't appear so sure that she'll be able to hang on to her husband given the double whammy of Deacon and Taylor's returns. The stage has been set and we look forward to more great performances by Lang. The Bold and the Beautiful, B.B., airs weekdays on CBS. Check your local listings for airtimes. For more about what's coming up in Los Angeles, check out all the latest that's been posted on B&B Spoilers, and for an in-depth look at the show's history, click here. Adblock test, why?